Subarus, you know them, you love them. Whether it's an 1,000 horsepower Forester or a good old Hawkeye STI. The EJ engine has made its mark on the performance car world. But there's one chassis that in America you don't see too often, and that is the RS chassis. And one of my favorite Subaru builds is when you take the RS and turn it into an rSTI, essentially creating a two-door STI that was never here in America. This beautiful 22B lookalike makes 450 horsepower and makes all the right sounds. So what's it like driving an rSTI with 450 horsepower? Let's go for a drive and find out. Subaru, yes, I have probably filmed every engine swap, every iteration, every engine ever created that has an EJ in it, but I could not resist driving this one. Because when I got the email, I knew it was special and it looked phenomenal and the story was really, really cool. So what we have here is a Subaru RS, started as an RS, but then ended up being a drag car down the road in its history. The other thing too is that the EJ motor has been around forever. And the owner of this car, Ian, has had 6 Subarus, so he's been around the block. And he found this car on the internet, drove all the way to Kansas City, got it, came all the way back, and now we're here. Essentially, the closest reliable, non-expensive 22B on the street today. And it's funny because people go up to Ian and they're like, how did you afford a $500,000 car? How did you afford a Skyline? Because somehow people get it confused with a Skyline, which is weird. Or my favorite, a Kookie. I don't know how you think this is a Kookie, but more power to you, I guess. But know what you know and know what you don't know. Like, it does look like a 22B because it has the rally kit on it. You can even see on the front bumper where the rally lights would go. And that's what's so neat about it, is that it's spiritually there. The wide body is there, the front bumper is there, the wing is there. And originally, when he got the car, didn't have any of that stuff. It didn't have the wing, it didn't have the spirit of rally. And I think that's what makes it really special and stick out from the rest of the Subaru crowd. Because when you see a Subaru, you're like, oh, it's a Blobeye, it's a Hawkeye, it's a hatch. But this is definitely, it feels almost like a one-of-a-kind. It's almost to that point. What I love about the RS is that it's a two-door. You know, with the STIs, it is famous for being a cool four-door rally car, right? That's almost kind of the appeal of it. Because you can drive it every day and you can have a lot of fun in it, and it's all-wheel drive and it makes turbo noises. But the two-door has always stolen my heart, maybe just a little bit more. I've always been kind of a Hawkeye guy when it comes to the four doors, but this essentially is Blobeye everything. So the motor's from a Blobeye, it's the EJ25, it's got all the standard stuff from a newer engine, everything swapped over. You guys might remember, I drove another two-door one a few years ago that was owned by my buddy Justin at Off the Line Performance. That car was actually a Cash Days car, and he smacked people's face off with its all-wheel drive launch. And it was really fun to drive, but very much set up as a drag car. This one used to be a drag car. It still is a drag car technically, but it's got a little bit more corner pizzazz now. But this car ran a 10.5 quarter mile a very long time ago, which is very impressive. It's got a Garrett GT30R. What I love about this thing is that the RS feels much more to me like a sports car out of the box. Your seating position, you got the coupe windows, the bigger doors. I love how the aesthetic of this thing is. I love feeling secure in the cage. I feel like I'm much more in a rally car per se. It makes all the right noises. It makes 450 wheel horsepower, which in my opinion in a Subaru is like the perfect number. Like 500 plus is really, really cool. And the last RS I drove made 700 horsepower, but that was a lot. So this is more usable on a day-to-day basis. It's really fun. But also it dead hooks. It's a ton of fun with the all-wheel drive. There's like little cues of history when you look look at this thing inside, because since it was a drag car, you got the good old shift light right here. It's ready to go. You got every gauge imaginable in this thing when you're looking down. There's something about a Subaru with an EJ motor with the really pretty blue color. I've always liked it. It's always like represented their brand really well, in my opinion. With the Sparco wheel, it goes with it. The steering feels phenomenal. It's got STI steering in it and also an STI trans, which, if you don't know, the STI trans is actually really, really strong. So a lot of people push a ton of power through it and don't have a lot of issues. It's also got this really nifty short shifter, which you have to be very careful going into third gear, because I tend to go into fifth. The moment I went into this, I went a little too far over to the right, but basically when you do your second to third, you push almost straight up. It is easy to miss, but it's not enough to money shift it, which, knock on door, so that's good. And a big thing too with a lot of the Subarus is the bushings. If you let the bushings go out, you're gonna have a really, really bad time, and you're gonna get a death wobble when you get on it. Ask me how I know. And when you turn it in, it just does the thing. And with all-wheel drive, it is a little bit of a learning curve if you come from front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. When you go around a corner, you almost need to push it through and add the power down to tell the car this is okay, so it doesn't understeer. When you kind of go around a corner really, really quickly and don't add any power, it pushes. It starts to go that way, or it starts to go this way, and you don't want to go that way. You want to go this way. You know, it's a little beefy of a clutch, but it's not as bad as some of the higher horsepower stuff I've driven, where you're revving it to 5,000 RPM, you know, to get it to go. It's pretty user-friendly. Overall, as a complete package, I think it's hard to find a car, especially a Subaru, where people just didn't throw on an access port in a cold air and like called it a day, right? I really enjoy driving the Subarus that people put all the time and love into the entire time. And this thing has been running since 2009, which is bananas. You know how many times I drive a Subaru and they're like, yeah, I'm on my second or third motor, which is a stereotype that is, I guess it just depends on who you talk to. It's like going up to a Mustang owner and be like, oh, do you crash it every day into a crowd? Just to feel it. There. Okay. Oh, we're in one of those Subarus. When you get into power with a lot of high horsepower Subarus, you can physically hear the wastegate working. You can physically hear it doing this. And so I remember the very first time I drove one that was high horsepower, ironically a blow-by, I was like, am I breaking the car? Woo! And no, it's just kind of how it works, and it's really a unique sound. About it is that a lot of the times with a higher horsepower Subaru or anything all-wheel drive like an Evo or anything like that, you'll get this notorious crab walk. It just goes freaking dead straight. And I was actually shocked how linear the power came on. And since it is an older generation turbo, it is a smidge laggier than what I'm used to nowadays, but nothing catastrophic, right? There it is. Felt like it got some extra juice that time. Good setup Subaru, you finally get it. You get it why so many people go through so much pain and suffering with some of these platforms if they have the bad luck that some people do. And it just feels phenomenal going around corners, exiting, especially corner exit. When you're in a Subaru and you get that saucy corner exit where you're in that full power already and just exiting, oh my God, it feels so good. Short shifter, full transparency, I've had trouble with it because you gotta admit your mistakes sometimes But with the short shifter, I was going way too far to the right for you know, an initial third gear. But I really gotta almost act like I'm going to first gear. But my internal subconscious said, David, don't go to first gear while you're going fast. So it was a little bit of a muscle memory to get around, but that's okay, just getting used to it. But I'm definitely sure if you got used to it, then it is really beneficial to your shifting. And you have the clout of people thinking you have a very expensive car. You guys, while you're watching, probably saw how stoked I was when I got into third gear just now. So that I go in, I go, okay, all-wheel drive, add the sauce, right? And when you give it the sauce, it's happy. Ooh. I love the echo off the trees. That is so satisfying. So, what did I think about the Subaru RS with a really sick blob-eye setup in it? Well, arguably one of my favorite Subarus. I know I say that all the time, but this chassis in particular is one of my favorites because it's lighter, it feels more nimble, it turns in great, and it's a shame that more people did not do more with these chassis here in the United States. I really admired it. It was a ton of fun. And on that note, huge thanks to Ian for letting me drive his Subaru. It means a ton, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.